All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into a really huge shift that's happening in the real estate world. And look, if you've ever bought or sold a home, or you're even thinking about it, this is something you're definitely going to want to hear.
Okay, so this quote from our source material over at HomeSmart really it hits the nail on the head, right? There is a lot of noise. You're hearing about private listings, lawsuits, all these new coming soon platforms. It kind of feels like the rules of the game are being rewritten right under our feet.
And this isn't just some inside baseball for real estate agents, you know? This is a really fundamental debate about how homes are listed and sold. It could directly affect how you find your next home, and yeah, how much you end up paying for it, or selling your current one for.
So, to really get a grip on all this noise, we've got to go back to basics. We need to look at the actual foundation of the real estate market as we know it, and see how that foundation is starting to show some cracks.
Think of the MLS as the central nervous system of real estate for decades. It was absolutely revolutionary when it came out because the whole thing was built on cooperation. The idea was to create one single organized place for everything, a marketplace that was really built for the consumer, to keep things competitive and fair.
But here's where the drama starts. There's a new model in town, and it's challenging that whole cooperative idea. Now, to be fair, the people who support these new exclusive platforms will say they offer things like privacy for sellers, or a way to create some pre-market buzz, and that's fine. But what used to be a tiny little corner of the market is now growing fast, and that's creating what our source calls a deeply contested issue.
So, what this all boils down to is a battle between two completely different visions for the future of real estate. You've got the open model on one side, and on the other, this much more exclusive, kind of closed-off approach.
And that really gets us to the two competing philosophies, right? The open market, which is what the MLS is all about, creates this one giant, accessible swimming pool of listings for everyone. The closed market, though, it takes that pool and breaks it up into a bunch of little private ponds, and you only get access if you're on the list.
You know, the industry actually saw some of this coming and tried to reinforce that open model. The National Association of Realtors has this thing called the Clear Cooperation policy. It's basically a rule that says, hey, if you're going to start marketing a house to the public, you have to put it on the shared MLS pretty quick. The whole point is to stop people from hiding listings. But yeah, the rise of these new platforms is really testing the limits of that rule.
So, what's really driving all this? This quote gets right to it. It's not always just about privacy or being exclusive. A lot of the time, it's about money, monetization. Some of these platforms offer huge financial incentives to agents. We're talking cash bonuses, even a piece of the company, if they bring their listings exclusively to them. And that completely changes the game. The goal shifts from getting the most eyes on a seller's property to what's best for the platform's bottom line.
Okay, so let's get down to it. Why should you care about this industry battle? What's actually at stake for the average person trying to buy or sell a house?
Well, if you're a buyer, it's like trying to solve a puzzle, but someone's hidden a bunch of the pieces. This move toward closed systems means you just can't be sure you're seeing every single home that's for sale anymore. The market's all broken up. You might have to check a bunch of different websites and platforms just to get a sense of what's out there. And who has time for that? It just adds so much stress to an already crazy process.
And if you're a seller, the question is even more simple. Does showing your house to fewer people really help you sell it? I mean, think about it. If you limit your audience, you're going to get less competition. And less competition usually means fewer offers. That can hit you right in the wallet when it comes to the final sale price, not to mention how long it takes to sell. And this is really important. The stakes here are bigger than just money. This quote points out that when you start limiting who can see a home for sale, you start wandering into some pretty serious legal and ethical territory. We're talking about fair housing and equal access. And whether it's on purpose or not, when you restrict who sees a listing, you create a real risk. It's something that everyone involved, sellers, agents, the platforms themselves, has to think about very, very carefully.
Okay, so with all those risks on the table, what's the case for just sticking with the open system we've had for so long? Well, our source material makes a really strong argument that cooperation is still the way to go.
It's all about this virtuous cycle they talk about. It's a powerful feedback loop that just works. See, when all the listings are in one central place, sellers get the most possible exposure. That brings in more buyers, which creates more competition. And all that competition, that's what leads to a fair price and a better outcome for everybody involved.
So that's really the fork in the road, isn't it? That's the choice.
Do we want one central, transparent marketplace where everybody knows the rules and has access? Or do we want this tangled web of a bunch of different, selective marketplaces where each one has its own agenda and keeps its own little secret stash of listings?
And as all this change keeps happening, companies in the real estate world are basically being forced to pick a side. You can't really sit on the fence anymore. You either lean into this new exclusive model, or you double down on the idea of an open market.
And our source for today's explainer, HomeSmart, is making their position crystal clear. They say their guiding light is simple: what's best for the consumer? And for them, that means choice and access.
And they're putting their money where their mouth is. This isn't just a feel-good mission statement. It's how they're actually running their business. They're actively choosing not to get involved with these exclusive coming-soon deals or private listing networks. Instead, they're focused on one thing: making sure their listings get out there to as many people as possible.
And really, this is the bottom line, according to the author. A real estate market just works better for everyone when it's open, when it's transparent, and when everyone can get in. That's what builds trust. That's what keeps things competitive. And at the end of the day, that's what serves you, the consumer, the best.
Which leaves us with one last really big question to think about. As the industry keeps changing, what's actually worth protecting here? Is it the open marketplace that served everyone for so long? Or is it these new exclusive platforms? The answer to that question is going to shape how every single one of us finds a place to call home for a long, long time.